All right, welcome to another kitchen sink microscopy. I am Erik Rosenblatt. We'd love it if you like and share this video, leave a comment down there, subscribe to the channel, pet the cat.
And it's a lightning round.
Jesus Christ. Oh, man.
Why not?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, lightning round. Yeah.
Well, okay, so this is the last episode of season 5, and we thought, why don't we do something a little different, a little special? You had the great idea of asking AI what our lightning round topics should be. So, ergo, we have no idea what we're going to talk about. Neither of us. AI is going to tell us everything. We have these 9 basic categories, let's say. And I don't know them all by head. Do you? Maybe we should write that.
Hold on. I gotta open this up.
I mean, I do, but
so I've got it. Yeah, I've got it up here because I have my.
You should write it down as we go. I mean, so you know.
yeah. I guess we can just go down the list as far as my document goes here, because it really doesn't matter.
All right. A real Mickey Mouse operation.
Yeah. And I think it's fitting because we talk about AI a lot and the benefits that it could bring, as opposed to most people who talk about all the negatives, like the potential downfalls and stuff. And I wholeheartedly disagree with that. Like, I don't think it's like anything else. It's not inherently bad or good, but it's a tool. And so we're going to use it as a tool to generate some stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
All right.
It's kind of cool when we interviewed ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And now AI is kind of like another member of the show in a way.
So I have my dice right here, as you'd expect in the Crown Royal bag. Lots of dice, plenty of dice. Like I can't even show them all because the cat's gonna start flipping them. But
give me that.
I know. So I have your typical, numbers of sides of dice. So however many like different potential points of discussion that's the idea. We're going to ask AI to generate a list, several, say like 6, and I'll roll 1d6, and whatever that is, that's what we're going to do.
All right.
I think we should also add in just like a potential veto option, like if it's something none of us know about or something like that, maybe we could say, okay, well, I'll roll again.
Yeah.
Just as an option. Like we have the option of just occasionally re-rolling. Okay.
Alrighty.
We're gonna have
what's first on the docket?
Politics.
We should what's the word I'm looking for? Clarify to the AI American politics, maybe?
U.S. politics, yeah.
I mean, I guess we could do global politics, but if it comes up with like what's going on in Zimbabwe with their, I don't know, whatever, like we're not going to have any clue.
There may be. That's why I'm saying we should be able to re-roll. So let's do 6 because that's a standard thing, and that's few enough that it's not too many.
All right. You want me to type something in? Or...
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. All right.
So politics.
I'll say, give me 6 topics of discussion for U.S. politics, and we're asking Gemini. All right. It's thinking.
Okay.
Survey says, I'm still learning how to answer this question. In the meantime, try Google search.
Oh my God. Okay.
Well, that didn't work.
global politics then, I guess, and we'll see if
All
it's
right.
something we know about.
Okay.
Hey, we're still we're working the kinks out.
Give me 6 political topics to discuss. Let's see if that's a little simpler for it. Yes, here we go.
Okay, we got 6.
There are 6.
Okay, so rolling 1d6. Okay, number 4. Whatever number 4 is.
Number 4, education reform. Discuss different approaches to improving educational outcomes, tackling student loan debt, and ensuring equal access to quality education.
Oh wow, that's a big topic for 5 minutes, but I mean, I think for me, at least I can talk about the quality education and reform in general. And I think that the way that things are done, at least in the US, is pretty awful. Having a centralized system and like kind of focusing on book stuff and test taking and homework and just kind of repetitious sort of stuff. No, I want to see school teach people practical things, things that you actually need to know to be an adult, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where school fails.
It's not that different here in Germany, but albeit they are teaching a few more things that actually apply to real life. Like there's philosophy class every year. We never had that in high school.
Like, no, I think it was like optional. There were some optional things that you could take.
When I went to high school, there were no options for that.
Well, like home economics should be more expanded or more expansive, and like budgeting, that's a really big one. How to deal with bank accounts and banking.
If it had anything to do with economics, that would have been an improvement.
Yeah, exactly. It was like making a cake or something.
Right. Here's how to sew. Here's how to
sew. Which sewing is a useful skill. Like that's a good thing. Everybody should know how to do that.
But they didn't teach it very well because I still don't do it.
I know, yeah,
very well at all.
But practical things would be a good thing. And the way the budgeting is done with schools is kind of dumb, especially because everything's kind of centralized anyway. But it's sort of like paid for by the local community, which obviously creates this kind of discrepancy between different regions.
Yeah,
where some schools in low income neighborhoods are really bad and underfunded, and then the ones in the affluent neighborhoods are great.
Well, okay, so as far as the student loan debt thing, that's pretty much strictly a U.S. thing.
Yeah,
since a lot of other countries have at least some kind of subsidized option or something along those lines. And there was a recent attempt to get at least some of the loan debt canceled, and of course it was totally blocked. But in the interim, I've seen so many arguments basically saying that like we're not talking about erasing any kind of like real money. It's all this interest that like just appears out of nowhere. It's and yes, it's like an income for the banks and whatever, but like cry me a fucking river,
Well, like, I think a big issue with the student loan debt is that college is pushed so hard to kids, especially like 4-year college.
But education should be something like, I mean, why should it have to be something that somebody is making a huge giant profit off of?
Well, why they make a giant profit is because of the fact that student loans are so easy to get. Prices go up because like it's basically free money. And
it should be easy to go to college if you want.
It used to be. That's the thing. It used to be like my dad went to UPS and paid for it himself, and working part-time, and was still able to do that. But you can also go to a community college where you learn, or a trade school where you could probably make way more money coming out of a trade school than you can from any 4-year college. And those are quite a bit less expensive, and giving you, they give you knowledge and skills that people want, right? It's really easy to get a job if you get you learn welding or something like that, because well they hire and they pay a lot. Go to truck driving school, get your CDL, you will always have a job, and a good paying one for that matter.
Well, and approaches to improving educational outcomes, I just had an idea that, like, why isn't it treated more like football drafts where, like educator or, education realms such as colleges and trade schools and stuff basically have people from major employers come in and basically say, hey, you want a job?
Ooh, well, that's time, and that's an excellent idea right there. I love that idea. And some trade schools actually do that too. They've got basically people recruiting people right out of the school. So you're barely finishing school and you've already got a job lined up. Maybe you've got, a pick of multiple jobs. Like, oh, well, do I want to work at that company, that company, that company, or that company? They all want to hire me today.
All right.
So on to the next topic.
The next topic?
Or the category is economics.
Economics. Okay.
Yes.
What did I type before? Give me. Give it me. 6 topics in economics. All right, let's see.
That was actually a good one. I like
that was a really good
pretty
one.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm sure some of the other ones were equally good. So you got 6.
We do indeed have 6 to choose from.
Okay. Number 4 again.
Weighted dice.
Wait a minute. It's 4 on every side. Hold on.
Okay. Macroeconomics versus microeconomics. Macroeconomics examines the behavior of the economy as a whole, focusing on factors like inflation, unemployment, and economic growth. Microeconomics, on the other hand, dives into individual decision-making by consumers, firms, and markets.
You know what? That's basically Austrian economic theory versus Keynesian economic theory, essentially, which that's an interesting topic, actually. If you feel comfortable with that one, we could start.
I don't even really know what it's like. Like, what is there to discuss in that?
Well, I think it's whether, like, which one is more applicable or accurate, right? Which best describes the functioning of an economy. And so, because like when you're dealing with economics and you're attempting to perform an action based on economic theory, you can apply macroeconomics or microeconomics, or maybe a mix of both.
Okay.
Like decision making, essentially.
Huh.
And it could be governments, it could be businesses, whatever. Like, it doesn't matter.
Okay. All right. Yeah, we can go with that. Yeah.
Okay, so timer starting. So, well, personally, I think I agree a lot with the Austrian economic side. Like, the individual decisions are the driving force of an economy at its core. Like, it's basically an emergent property of all of these millions of people making their own individual decisions that may or may not be connected. Like I always say, the study of economics is the study of human psychology. That it's not a machine with knobs and levers and steam pipes and stuff. It's you and I are basically the foundation of an economy.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so in a closed system, if the extent of your economy is like, I have this thing you want, you have that thing I want, we exchange it. Yeah, that's really all that matters. But when it comes to these other factors, like inflation, unemployment, economic growth, all these things, like, I may not like agree with having to pay attention to that, but it does actually like make an impact on things, for better or worse. I'd say worse. But
I agree. And a lot of those factors kind of come into play from like large scale systems like governments or
like I
corporations.
can't wrap my head around inflation. Why do we have to have inflation? Why does inflation exist at all? It makes no sense.
Well, it's a supply and demand thing, but I mean, it is kind of disturbing that in the US, the Federal Reserve is tasked with like making or attempting to ensure that there's at least a 2% annual inflation rate.
I mean, to me, inflation of prices on an individual product have something to do with supply and demand. Mm-hmm. But on a macro level, supply and demand and inflation, those things shouldn't even be touching each other. Right?
Well, it gets muddy.
You're talking about inflating the value of the coin and not the item being sold,
not the product. Yeah,
that's exactly. Dumb.
Well, yeah, and it comes down to perception, like the perceived value of say the monetary system or the monetary unit, which that's very complicated how that works.
I mean,
but it basically
if there's something like when we moved away from the gold standard, we said like this is like the value, and the further we go from that, the more we just chop the value down.
Yes,
when it hits zero, like okay, we fucked up.
Yeah, exactly. The gold standard was actually beneficial because it kept things pretty stable. So it's like, if you put money in the bank and you save and save and save and save, you can pretty much expect almost the same purchasing power 20 years from now.
Yeah, it should be treated like credit. Like, okay, we have to print some money right now, but we will destroy it all by such and such year.
Yeah.
You know, like it has to be put away from our economy by that time. Mm-hmm. You know, for whatever reason, natural disaster, World War II, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Like there were good reasons initially to do what they did. And then they just kind of went, hey, this is cool. Look at all this money we got.
Yeah, it should be a temporary measure for disaster or emergency situations. But not a permanent one. And yeah, by the time the 70s rolled around, it became completely permanent.
So the micro part had markets lumped into it. How is that not macro?
Well, because markets are driven by these individual actions and decisions. But it's like, so every single person contributes a little bit of weight to that momentum or movement or whatever. And so the more of those people you have doing a particular thing, say like buying a product, that eventually translates to a massive influence in a bigger scale.
So inflation is not then affected by individual actions. Like we couldn't just like, I don't know, like go on a buying strike and affect the value of the dollar.
Well, there are ways, but I mean, it's tough when you have a fiat currency like we do, because that's all controlled at the top, and we don't like individual actions don't necessarily influence that. It's more the other way around, unfortunately, sadly. But yeah, there are ways if people were motivated enough to overcome that. Shit. It's actually a pretty good topic. I think that's almost like episode worthy in a way. It's such a, the thing is, economics is such a complex subject because there's so many pieces to it. And there's all these different schools of thought too, which makes it really confusing. Because some people are like, oh, things work this way, but then other people are like, no, it works that way. And then so it's like, okay, well, the only way to really know for sure is to take all those kinds of propositions and compare them to actual observation. And people don't often do that, I guess. They just like being the expert economist, that comes in on TV. Okay, so this other one,
that guy with the bow tie that's all like,
oh yeah, the Kramer that's always like buy. Basically, people are like, that guy, by the way, whatever he says, do the opposite and you'll be okay. Seriously, like he has a very bad track record and people think there's some kind of nefarious stuff going on there. But anyway, okay, so the next category that we have here is current events, which may or may not work with this.
Yeah, let's see. Uh, all right. Let's see what Gemini gives us for current events. Thinking. Here we go. Okay. Yep. Spitting out six.
We got
Spitting
6.
out six.
Okay, let's see if we get a 4 again. Whoa! Okay, hold on. I almost lost it. It's number 6, so it'll be the last one.
Aha. Okay. Technological advancements and regulations. The
Ooh.
development of artificial intelligence,
Oh.
the ethical implications of gene editing, or discussions about regulations for social media platforms could be current events sparking discussions.
Well, why don't we go with the first, because that's like 3 different things, kind of.
Kind of, yeah. Yeah, okay. The
Like, or I
development.
guess technological innovation and regulation. Maybe I get where it's going. Actually, now that I realize it.
Oh, yeah, right. Regulation of all of these things. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Good. Okay, starting the timer. All right.
All right. So regulation, I know you hate it,
Yes.
but um, when it comes to things like things as powerful as gene editing, I mean, in a way, that could be the next nuclear bomb. You know.
Okay. Yeah. You're well, and maybe there's room for something like that in that particular case because it's so drastic, right? It could have dire consequences. Um, but
Theoretically, that could be done with almost anything, including AI, right? Like
well, it's true. Yeah. I
maybe
think
not
that,
social media, but
yeah, there's a lot of
oh,
push
yeah.
for that. Or we could even say cryptocurrency. That's another one of these kind of innovations that everybody wants to regulate. And it's like, I'd be somewhat okay with that if the people who were in charge of regulating actually understood what it was that they were regulating, but they don't. The internet is a series of pipes, like that classic line. They don't understand it, and yet they're the ones that people look to determine how we should interact with these things or what kind of limitations to put on it. No, I'd rather have a panel of industry uh, people in the industry, something like the IEC or something that's an interesting organization. That I'm fine with because they create standards that people adhere to essentially, mostly voluntarily. Um, and that's probably better because the people who would know the potential dangers or benefits of something are the people who work in the industry, not politicians who have never set foot in a job in their entire life.
So to tie these three together, actually, I think social media in an unregulated fashion, like 100% unregulated, could be the platform for determining proper regulations for things like AI and gene editing. And AI could actually help in an objective sense as it currently stands with, regulation kind of just being in the hands of the creators at this point.
Yeah.
Like it could help kind of guide a more objective direction towards something like gene editing, for instance.
I agree, and guide is the right thing, and it's
Yeah.
sort of like building codes, right? You look at that, and currently they're a hardline totalitarian regulatory system, right? You have to build things this way, and I don't understand that because if I were building something that I wanted to last, I'd look at the building codes because it's like this is engineering. They didn't just make it up one day. There's a bunch of things that happened in the past that probably killed people, and that's why they say, "Oh, this is the distance for this thing, or this is the thickness of material for that thing, or whatever. This is the type of bolt you need for that." Like, there's a reason, and so following it just makes perfect sense. It's like, oh, if you're building a shed in the backyard, it really doesn't matter. But I mean, if you're building a place to raise a family, well, that you obviously want to do things right. And
Yeah.
people who build stuff are going to try to do that too because they want return business. They don't want to be known as the the construction company that builds houses of straw. So it's like, and so having some kind of reference point, I guess, would be good, and it should be built from the industry, not from these like politicians who are unfamiliar with these things.
Right. So I saw something in the news recently. AI actually leaked something against Elon Musk about how he wanted to kind of take an open source AI and completely like control it from the top down.
Huh.
Like he wanted to regulate it, and AI was like, "Hey, everybody, just want to let you know, Elon Musk wanted to regulate your AI."
The first AI whistleblower. That's amazing.
Yeah,
That's fucking incredible. Oh my god. See, and
but
that's
I
the
mean,
thing. This is where the benefit is.
that's a good thing that that happened and
Yeah,
that we saw that. Like
exactly.
okay, now we can feel a little bit safer, I think,
Uh-huh.
because it's
Even
kind of like
awareness.
a built-in safety net sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like,
Ignorance is risky. Awareness is safer. Like,
mhm.
all right, that's time. That was a
Hey,
pretty good one. I like that. That's cool.
we should have made a little more than 5 minutes for
I know. Well, that's okay. All these could be their own. In fact,
Oh yeah,
if you save that list too, we could
yep,
potentially pick from it as well.
yeah.
Um, so okay, the next category is religion, and I would really be curious to see what it comes up with here.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah. I wonder if it's going to be like that's too controversial.
mean, if it's general topics, then it
Oh
probably.
no, no, it came up with some.
Okay, so we'll roll again
The
here.
one I'm waiting for is conspiracy
Oh
theories.
God, that'll be. Oh man. Okay, so number one.
Number one. Ah, cool. I think this will be a good one. The role of religion in a secular world. In an increasingly secularized world, how is religion adapting and what role does it continue to play in people's lives? Does religion provide comfort and purpose? Hmm.
Oh, okay. We'll start the timer. I agree with that last point that it does provide comfort and purpose.
I mean, it
And
was a question, not a point, but yeah.
oh yeah, okay. Well, okay. Anyway, I do believe that there is still a role in a secular society, even one that's extremely secular. The thing is, there's a lot of people who are atheists, but they still dabble in mysticism and things like that, and
Mhm.
just for it's something that humans just do. Obviously, we've crafted all these beliefs ourselves for the most part, and we still like fantasy, and we still like to believe and try to
Yeah.
connect with the grand cosmic web or whatever. And yeah, I think there's still a place for it.
I mean, not to get too pedantic, but religion and spirituality, I think, are two things that we should be very careful to keep separate here because
Yeah.
I think what you're talking about is could be more uh, easily classified in the spiritual realm than
Mm-hmm.
in the religion realm, which pretty much has like these hard and fast, I mean, regulations essentially,
Yeah.
like we were just talking about, but regulations in a spiritual sense.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I don't know, like, I mean, when you think about it that way as a regulation,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't that kind of change the way you think about it then? Like, oh, wait a minute. Um,
Well, oh, for sure, and that's something I definitely take issue with organized religion,
mhm.
especially large scale organized religion. Now, see, my mom, when we stopped going to church when I was a teenager, and but my mom was very deeply religious, and so she and some friends had a little Bible study they'd go to, and they'd read from the Bible and talk about things, and not always things having to do with the Bible, but they would just talk and that kind of thing. And I think that, see, connecting with other people is a benefit, and I think you definitely do that when it's a small group. Like that's really the idea of church being this huge expensive building. That's bullshit. A church ought to be a
Right.
tent that you put up and in your backyard, and people gather and you eat some food and sing some songs and read some stuff and discuss. Like,
I mean, there's some circles that consider church an entirely ethereal phenomenon, like to the point where they even consider it blasphemous that buildings were erected for this purpose at all.
Yeah.
Like solely for this purpose, anyway.
Well, and I think what
I kind of agree with that. Like,
yeah,
like my mom always wanted to drag me to church, and I'm like, I can pray right here at home.
yeah.
Like,
You could open a Bible and read it and think about it.
yeah,
Like the formality of church is what bugs me, especially like when you get into Catholicism and Islam and stuff. There's so much formality, and I don't like that. Like, but one thing that, like what I guess the topic included was kind of how things are changing, adapting to secularity, increasing secularity, and I see that happening. You have the Methodist Church that's very open, very, very open. Like they don't have a problem with gay people or trans people or whatever. Like everybody's welcome, and I see that more and more. I think that's changing. You see a lot of people who are Christian who are kind of being a lot more open-minded and accepting. Just it's transitioning slowly, but I see that trajectory going there.
I think it's the Universal Life Church. That's basically a secular church. Yeah. Like it's everything a church is without all the God talk.
Isn't it kind of like basically it's whatever God you believe in, essentially, and we all are one?
Believe in or don't, because that's the defining thing about secular. Like I think my wife asked me not too long ago, what's the difference between secular and atheist? And atheism has specifically everything to do with saying there's no God. Secular just means,
no, there's no proof of God.
No proof of God, sure. But like secular is all about just like conducting everything without the assumption that there is.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah, there's like that's not enough time for these.
I know. Jeez, man. Well, next time we might end up extending the timer a bit for some of these because these are pretty good. Yeah. Like that so far. Good. And not only that, we're not picking the best one. We're rolling the dice too, or the die, I guess.
And we don't even have to think about topics now. Yeah, this is awesome.
Good. Yeah. Well, we do have to think about them once they're proposed.
Well, yeah, that's the fun part.
Yeah. It's nice, both of us not knowing.
So what is our next category?
Next one is conspiracies. So this will be interesting.
See if I can type. Had some Belgian beer here. Ooh, it's a little bit ahead.
That's what she said.
Okay, right, here we have 6.
All right, roll on the die. Number 5. Number 5 is alive.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Celebrity cover-ups. Conspiracy theories often surround the deaths or lives of celebrities. You could pick a specific example, analyze the evidence presented, and discuss the psychology behind celebrity conspiracy theories. Ooh. Oh, that's kind of too general, isn't it?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, I was thinking like, the Beatles conspiracy or Elvis or whatnot.
Yeah.
I'll roll it again. We'll give it 2 options now. Okay. Oh, damn it. Number 5 again. Okay. Number 6.
Number 6.
Yep.
The spread of conspiracy theories in the digital age.
Ooh, okay. This is good. I like this. Yep. Okay.
The internet and social media have made it easier than ever for conspiracy theories to spread. You could discuss the factors that contribute to this phenomenon, the potential harms of conspiracy theories, and possible solutions to limit their spread.
Okay, timer's going. Okay, so in this, I kind of take 2 sides on this, I suppose. One is that it can be a benefit for sharing information, because not all conspiracy theories are just wild and wackadoodle. Some things are actual real things. So being able to share information and put a lot of heads together from around the world could be a benefit to solving something or exposing something. But also, you get things like flat Earth, right? Where you get this echo chamber of a bunch of people who believe these wild ideas, and they just, it concentrates that information, the exchange of information, in a little bubble, essentially.
Yeah.
Well, and that definitely gives momentum to these kinds of conspiracies, I think.
In regards to the digital age specifically, potential solutions to limit the spread of conspiracy theories, that's kind of getting back into the question of regulating social media in a way.
See, because then it's like, but whose idea is who's correct? We don't know.
But I mean, like the middle ground they came up with is basically just tacking on that little disclaimer, like, here's the preponderance of evidence suggesting otherwise, but we're not going to completely block you from reading.
That is totally fair. But really, the best way to counteract, say, like flat Earth, right, that kind of thing, or the anti-vax kind of thing, is to have people who know more information, more true information about something, to counter these things, right? Like the people who debunk flat Earth videos and things.
If I'm not mistaken, there have been studies done that people who are into conspiracy theories are not whatsoever swayed by actual experts.
No, they're not. They're not. But the key is that, okay, it's fine if there's a small group of these people that believe some kind of stupid idea, but you don't want more people coming aboard that train. So people who might be kind of on the fence might be willing to entertain both sides. And I mean, which side sounds more rational and has the better arguments? And so they won't fall into that pit, essentially, is the hope. And I mean, maybe there's no hope for people, although there are some flat earthers who eventually came around and they're like, oh yeah, well, I don't believe that anymore. Thanks to the efforts of a lot of these debunking people. Because the thing is, it's a certain type of person. It has nothing to do with the specific conspiracy. It has to do with the psychology of that individual. And it's almost like religion. They're kind of latching onto this sort of ephemeral idea, and that's it, right? Like to build themselves up or give themselves a sense of purpose, or like, oh, maybe they have nothing in their life. They're a nobody, but somehow they're a somebody because they're part of this community. They know secret information that no one else knows, that kind of thing. And it's exhilarating. It's a great feeling to think like, oh man, I'm in the in crowd. We're like the people that know the things that no one knows, and that kind of thing.
It could also be that underdog feeling, like fighting the battle that you can't really win, or something. But
especially when you're in a team, right? There's a group of you all sort of fighting this impossible battle.
And I can see how the digital age has really fanned the flames of that. Yes. It's almost like kind of making the argument like for drugs or something. Like, certain drugs might not be harmful to some people, but to others with who are more prone to addiction, it kind of ruins their lives. Like marijuana is a huge problem for certain people. Like, however safe it might be, however like less harmful than alcohol it might be, it can have real, like, it can make real damage on relationships.
That's true.
It can take lives, like, it, even in a tertiary manner, like driving a car.
That's time there.
Wow.
That's a good one. Well, yeah. Well, and like with the drug argument, that bringing light,
Yeah, I was coming around to like bring that
keeping
back to the digital.
exposing, like it should be out in the open. Everybody should be able to be a part of that conversation and contribute something to it. I think keeping things locked down. One of the points I was going to make about regulation is by shutting people down who have these ideas, you're basically reinforcing them. That actually makes things worse. So that's why I don't like the idea of a bunch of people who, again, don't even understand things. It's like, okay, here's the thing. Okay, I'm going on a little bit. Oh wait, go ahead and the Tomfoolery is the next one. But what was I going to say?
Yeah, I might need a second to
yeah,
this
to craft
question.
that one. Yeah. But yeah, it's like you're basically the thing is the people who regulate say social media or digital communications or whatever, they're coming at it from a standpoint of, well, I know the right answer, and that's all they're coming from. Whereas if you're going to actually attempt to do something about it on some kind of high level, you also need to understand where the conspiracy theorists are coming from. You need to comprehend their philosophies and things like that to be able to really counteract things. It's the same thing with religion and atheist arguments and stuff like that. So anyway, did you?
Yeah, it gave me 6, and some of them might be good, but I am seeing if I can fine tune this.
Silly or goofy topics, maybe.
Oh, well, okay. So I asked for 6 topics for tomfoolery, and it gave 6 really good ones, but let's say like 2/3 of it are good. And then I asked it to make it a little bit more philosophical in nature, and it only gave me 1.
Yeah.
So what would you rather do? Roll the dice or just go with the 1?
Well, okay, we'll roll this and
Okay.
see what we get. And if it's something completely ludicrous, then we'll go with the other one.
Okay.
All right. Number 2.
Okay. Backwards day. For a day, have everyone dress backwards, eat lunch for breakfast, and greet colleagues with goodbyes.
I like that. Yeah.
Really? Okay.
I mean, don't you think, like, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Okay.
When in Rome, do as the Namors do.
Yep. Okay, timer's starting. We'll see what we can do with this one, but I think it's decent. Maybe, and the reason I like this idea is because I think we need a day where things are just kind of silly.
Well,
to sort of
that's not a bad idea.
Yeah, where everybody just is all sorts of goofy. I mean, we have April Fool's Day, but most people don't really do anything. It kind
of the Brits have this very thing with Boxing Day, the day after Christmas.
Yeah.
Where like the boss becomes the employee and the employees are the boss or whatever.
Yeah.
Of course, it's like tongue in cheek. You can't just be like, okay, you're fired.
Yeah. It's more like putting yourself in someone else's shoes, and I like that idea.
Mm-hmm. But
that breeds
a day and just not be serious like that.
Yeah,
that's good for mental health, I think.
Sure, absolutely. I love that idea. Yeah.
What would that look like in the modern age, though? Because Boxing Day is pretty old school, but like outside the workplace, work from home people can't really do that. Let's say
no, but they still have to go to the gas station or the grocery store or whatever. They're probably going to go somewhere, and maybe this is the day you kind of slack off a little bit and you go out and participate.
Go to the gas station and you're like, oh, I'll put gas in my car, and diesel comes out, and you're like, God damn it.
Well, I was thinking more it would suck the gas out of the tank and give you money. That's probably going a little overboard in that regard, but I think just kind of like having a day where everything's a little bit goofy, just silly things happen and people don't take anything seriously. That would be I think that's a good idea. I don't know exactly what that would look like, but I'm sure we could easily, as a people, craft something that because it's like you need a day, even if just once a year, where you kind of just let it all go and you don't care about anything and you're all laughing and you know, the point of just your stomach is hurting and your tears are coming down and silly things like that's what you need.
Yeah. Actually, like I've had exactly one job where this was kind of an unspoken law. Like every so often we would just have a day where we'd just get the bare minimum done. Like we had to run an experiment or, take care of the animals in the vivarium or something. And then we would go to the conference room and, like do our Christmas party or whatever. And it would be total drunken debauchery at work,
Yeah,
like on the clock.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's
Getting
how it
drunk,
should be.
playing drinking games on the
Well,
clock.
it
Like,
should
and it
be.
was like so good for the soul.
It is. Well, like when I back before at my line of work and in my job, um, way back in the day, we used to do these kind of outings essentially on the clock. And one of them, we went and did paintball on the clock.
Nice.
And it's a team building thing,
Team
right?
building. Yep.
We would go and just do that and goof off. Like when I worked at the computer shop, the first job that like full job that I had, um, we would take occasional days there'd be some movie we all wanted to see, and we put a sign on the door that said all techs are out in the field and just close, and we'd go see a movie, and that was it. And then we'd come back and we'd play video games on the LAN there and stuff. Like you need that every once in a while. You can't be all work and no play, kind of
Yeah.
thing. Like
Okay, I take that back. When we owned a business, often had days where we would craft elaborate paper
yep.
airplanes.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Absolutely.
no printers to fix, but
Yeah, you just gotta have that every once in a while.
oh, by the way, speaking of printers, here in Germany, a paper jam is called Papierstau, which literally means paper traffic jam. I thought you'd get a laugh out of that.
That's amusing.
It's
Oh
it's
man.
actually kind of accurate.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. It's like this doesn't have to just apply to the workplace. It could apply, like that's my thought is it would be just a national day of, or
Mhm.
maybe international day of just silliness.
Yeah.
Like that's a good idea.
Well, yeah, like even in the home, like
Hmm.
have the kid be like, okay, like you're the parent.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, just
Clean the house.
like a Boxing Day at home. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, so that was a pretty good one. I like that.
yeah, not too bad.
So the next one is philosophy.
Ah, this will definitely be good.
Oh yeah, I'm sure AI is going to be able to craft some pretty good philosophical topics.
Let's hope it doesn't just keep building off of the last one.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, this is
some good ones.
yeah.
All right, gonna roll the die here. Number 4 again. Got a lot of
Number 4,
Yep.
the mind body problem. How does the immaterial mind interact with the physical body? This question delves into consciousness, dualism, and materialism, exploring the nature of our experience.
Whoa, whoa, that's pretty deep for 5 minutes. You want to try to?
That is pretty deep.
Well, we've got to. Let's do another roll and then we'll decide.
Okay.
Number 6.
Justice and social equality. What constitutes a just society? How can we ensure fairness and equality for all? This branch of philosophy, known as social and political philosophy, explores questions of rights, distribution of resources, and the ideal form of government. Ooh, sounds like kitchen sink microeconomics.
It definitely does. Yeah. Just getting to know us already. I like that one. Let's go with that.
Yeah, I think we
That
found the
turns
right
out
one.
to be a lot better than the last one. Okay, starting the timer. Well, I can say one thing. The justice system in the US is not just. If you're one of the elites, you get preferential treatment. And if you're not one of the elites, you get shafted. The
Yeah,
law
well,
applies to only the people at the bottom, essentially.
Yeah. If you're rich, fines don't impact you whatsoever.
Or
You do as you
connected.
please.
If you're
You know,
connected, if you're a politician,
connected. Yeah.
basically get away with whatever the hell you want.
Often those things go hand in hand, though,
Yeah, that's true.
and that really isn't a a just society
No.
because like connectivity shouldn't really have anything to do with your success monetarily.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, of course it can, and there's no reason to like put blockades between the two connecting, but it's almost exclusively like that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not connected, if you don't know the right people, if you don't rub elbows with so and so, you're not really going to get anywhere in life. And
Yeah.
and we're all fed this idea, going back to an earlier topic, that if we just go to college, we'll become one of the elites. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, no.
Well, and that's the thing is there's like arbitrary exceptions.
Mm-hmm.
That's the issue. In my opinion, if we do have a justice system, it should apply unilaterally, equally to everybody the same way. Like, doesn't matter who you are, like there it is. That's the only way it can
Yeah.
be like like that. Well, and I think we've talked about this too, and that AI would probably be the most neutral party when it comes
Yeah,
to
but
judging somebody.
that going to the question of how can we ensure fairness and equality for all, if every reaction to something bad, let's say, is equal. I mean, that's kind of the system we have now, where if you speed, you have a $200 fine,
Mm-hmm.
and if you make $1 million a month, you're like, okay, there you go. I'm just gonna speed again. See
Yeah.
ya.
Well, yeah, fines don't really deter anything, honestly.
So like that balance, equality versus equity, like it it really kind of depends on the scenario and which one fits better.
Yeah.
But like, how do you determine as a society which one to go with and where and when? You know?
Yeah, and I think well, if fines are pretty obvious, fines should hit everybody equally. So
Yeah,
if you're
that's the thing. The impact should be equal,
yes,
not the um, intent. Let's say.
exactly. I mean, jail time is going to be universal. Everybody's going to feel the impact of a year in jail the same. I mean, unless you're Al Capone. Um, but then again, see, that goes back to like, oh, if you're connected, if you're one of the elites,
Right.
essentially,
Mm-hmm.
you get preferential treatment, which I don't. That's wrong. You should be in the same dank hole that everybody else is in.
Right.
No exceptions, none whatsoever, except maybe the only exception should be if there's a risk to you because of something. Like the other inmates might attack you because of whatever. Okay, maybe you isolate that person and put them in a different situation, but that's just a logical, rational thing because you even though someone's in jail, you still want to preserve life, right? You don't want to. They shouldn't suffer any kind of additional punishment.
Well, then you've got Epstein, right?
Yeah.
Was
Oh,
that, like, not to go back to conspiracies, but you got a situation where, like, on one hand, like, obviously something's sketch.
oh,
On one hand, he
Epstein
could
didn't
have
kill
been like,
himself.
yeah, he could have been just whisked away to hide in witness protection,
Yeah.
or he could have actually been killed and had it look like a suicide or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, okay, something definitely weird happened. Which one is it?
Mm.
And it only happened because of connectivity. Like,
Yeah. If he was just a random bloke on the street that did those things, that wouldn't have happened. Guaranteed. Well, okay, maybe other inmates might have gotten to him.
but
Right.
how can you stop connections? How can you stop a person from paying a favor to another person?
I don't know that you
That's
can.
impossible,
No,
right?
but I mean, I was going to say at least there should be an attempt made to
Hmm.
create some kind of equality in justice.
Yeah.
You can't, obviously, it's just like anything else when you're talking equality. You can't get perfection. You never will achieve perfection, but it's the goal should be to get there at some point, somehow. And yeah, you're not going to get there by having a separate set of rules for different people.
Yeah. Wow. These are all like episode fodder.
I know. It's a, oh man, that's good. We got two left. So the next is public health and safety.
Let's like kick off the first chunk of season 6 with like all these as
We have
episodes.
so many topics. Oh man.
All right. So the next one is what?
Public health and safety.
Public health and safety. Safety meeting, man.
I'm not sure if it's gonna be able to. It might.
Yeah, we'll see how this goes. Still thinking. Yeah, here we go.
Okay.
It's got 6.
Got 6. Okay. We are going with number 4 yet again.
What the hell, man? Grab a different die.
Well, I can roll again if you want.
No.
Okay.
Okay. Let's try to be, like go with the flow here.
Yeah.
Workplace safety. Creating a safe work environment is crucial to prevent occupational injuries and illnesses. Regulations and safety protocols are essential to protect workers from hazards depending on their industry.
Yeah, we can go with that.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of a theme going with regulation here.
It does seem to be the thread running through this episode, doesn't it?
I mean, it does kind of bring up the question, like, are regulations a good or a bad thing? Or is it kind of dependent on what you're talking about?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, well, I'll start the timer then, and we can discuss.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay, I will start right off by saying I think that OSHA is well-meaning, but a little too overbearing. And various other safety regulations. I think sometimes it's sort of, well, there's also this false sense of security, right? That oh, I'm doing all the things by the book and I'll be safe. No, safety is in here. You always have to think safety. It doesn't matter all of the precautions that are put into place and all that stuff. It's nothing unless you have that mindset of safety. And that is something that I think is critical, because that's the thing. You don't need, well, I mean, maybe you might need some reference material like, oh, these are the best practices to be safe when doing this thing, because maybe not everybody knows all those things. Most people know, oh, when you're sawing or grinding metal, you put on some kind of face protection, eye protection and stuff. When you're welding, you have the helmet and stuff. Nobody needs to know that stuff or be told to do it. But it's kind of like,
okay, if you don't follow these things, at least it should be understood that you're kind of waiving your right to push the liability off on somebody else.
Yes. Or exactly. Yeah, because if you dismiss those rules, that typically it's companies that put those rules into place. I mean, there's OSHA, right, for workplace safety, the umbrella over all that. But companies themselves also want that because, one, they don't want to pay out when somebody is injured or killed. Two, they don't want to lose a good employee. Like, training people is time consuming and expensive, and lost work productivity and things like that. Yeah, they don't want that. So it's like, hey, if we could just get somebody a helmet that costs $20, we could avoid all that. And the thing is, we're always learning all the time. It's just like engineering. What we know, or science, what we know right now is not necessarily the truth. It's the truth that we've arrived at from all the past experiences that have kind of molded all these things. And yeah, so oh man, I'm trying to think where to go from there.
Yeah, well, okay, so like in a regulatory sense, I I fully understand why companies are strict with this. I don't know that OSHA's as much the problem as like insurance and the way that they
Yeah,
operate is really the driving force behind why there's so much stringency behind this.
I
Because
think you're correct in that. Yes.
yeah, because like as sincere as they might be in wanting to protect you as a good worker, they're probably a little bit more concerned about their insurance premiums going up.
And well, insurance companies themselves have their own demands that there are stipulations in order to maintain having insurance. So if you make a claim and certain rules were not observed, well, they might not pay out. And now you're paying out of pocket for that. And well, that sucks.
Yeah.
It goes back again to regulatory bodies and those crafting these rules need to be industry insiders. It can't be politicians. It can't be bureaucrats. It's so annoying because most of the people crafting these rules, they never have done any of the things that are being done that they're regulating.
Well, and this black and white bullshit, like
Yes.
if you don't do exactly what you were supposed to be doing, well, we won't pay anything out. Well, fuck you.
Yeah.
And no wonder everybody hates insurance companies. It's like if you just kind of negotiate with the person, like, okay, well, you did this and this and this right, but you weren't wearing your helmet. We're gonna knock it down to 80%.
Sure. And there are situations where, for instance, taking off like your harness or something, or taking a helmet off is actually improving safety potentially. It's an impediment. It might actually be more dangerous to be using the safety equipment.
There's no room for nuance at all.
Yes, that's it. Damn, that was a good one, man. Oh,
who would have thought workplace safety?
Yeah, I know what it's. Oh God, it's great.
This show, man, we can riff on anything.
I think this is proof of that. Okay, so the last topic for today is science.
Oh wow!
I'm sure it'll have some good ones for this.
Already to the last one, the grand finale is. Oh well, I guess we gotta wait. Okay, yep. Here's 6.
You got 6? Okay.
Yep.
Roll. And it is 6. So how about that?
Okay. Paleontology is the study of fossils, which are the remains of ancient plants and animals. By studying fossils, paleontologists can learn about the history of life on Earth, the evolution of different species, and the past climates of our planet. Not really sure what the topic is, though.
Yeah, I'd say that's a little loosey goosey there. We should probably. I'll roll again.
All right.
Oh wait, hold on. Interference. It's 4 again. It was 4. Okay, so when there was interference, it was 4, and then I rolled again, and it was 4.
Okay, space exploration. The exploration of space has led to many amazing discoveries, from the existence of black holes to the possibility of life on other planets. Space exploration also has practical applications, such as the development of new technologies and the monitoring of Earth's climate. However, space exploration is also a very expensive endeavor, and there are concerns about the environmental impact of launching rockets.
Oh, that's actually pretty good. Okay, I like that. Okay, we'll go with that one. So
I wasn't sure until the last sentence, but now there's an actual controversy.
There's some kind of conflict to discuss there.
So yeah, that is a good question. Like all that rocket fuel and all the mining to get the metals and stuff,
and the materials that you're basically burning up in the atmosphere.
And don't we actually like knock the Earth off axis just a little bit each time?
We actually do. Yeah.
Like that's fucked up.
Yeah.
Like that's huge.
A bigger concern, as far as I see it, is space debris.
Yeah.
There's a huge with all of the launches and all the shit that's up in space that maybe has a very short lifespan. It might be up there for a couple of years or maybe some decades, and then it's abandoned and just floating around orbiting the Earth.
Right now, there's like I feel like 3 tons of batteries coming down from the ISS,
Yeah.
and there's like these websites that are like, yeah, you're probably okay.
Hmm. Hmm.
Depending
Probably
on where you
tell that to
are.
the guy that got a battery in the head at
Yeah.
like Mach 3 or whatever.
Like I've often kind of tried to wrap my head around this. Like, is there a way to do this better? Like, can we make some kind of system where we just like do one big launch every year, let's say, and just bring like as much material up there as we can foreseeably need as
we we
possible?
we could we definitely could, and a lot there are rockets that are hydrogen and oxygen fueled, so the outcome of that is just water and heat. So that's good. From an environmental standpoint, it's better than some of the other fuel types. um, I think, yeah, there's this is something we should be considering. The cost too is another point, but the space debris I want to go back to really quick, because we're at a point right now with the amount of stuff in space where all it's going to take is a couple of collisions between defunct objects orbiting the planet to create a bunch of shrapnel, essentially, that will fly around and impact other things that will break apart, and more things will break apart. And it could cascade to a point where we literally cannot launch into space, because you know how it goes. That shit's flying really fast. If a little piece of paint hits your spacecraft, that's a big deal.
I I wish I could remember the name of this movie, but I saw this in the last couple of years where there was people at a space station and they had to like be outside of it, and there was space debris flying around and you know slamming into them, and it was like a huge point of contention in the movie, and they were
Was that
calculating it
gravity?
and stuff.
Is it gravity?
Maybe
Was
I'm
that?
so terrible at like remembering movies.
Me too.
But
Well, let's
yeah,
get
like
into the
that's a
cost.
yeah. Well,
Um,
yeah, oh, yeah. The
it,
cost is
not
like
just financial, but materials too.
yeah,
Both of those things are obviously an impediment. And this is the thing: people are like, "Oh, well, how come we haven't gone back to the moon in 50 years?" Well, the cost.
and
Also,
what's the point? Like, what do we stand to gain from it? That's the
absolutely
problem.
nothing.
That's the problem I have with all this like entrepreneurial space exploration stuff. It's like, hang on, let's like come together as a globe and decide how we do this, because every launch is negatively impacting the earth.
Yep.
And if we're not really like skyrocketing in advancements in new knowledge and like moving towards like uh improving our future,
Mm.
then it's kind of a waste, I think.
I agree. There should be some kind of profit at the end of it, some
Mhm.
knowledge or experience or whatever. And of course, when we're talking private space industry, it's very young at this point in time. And so I get it if they do these kind of small launches. Of course, SpaceX is currently ferrying people and stuff to and from the ISS, so it's performing a valid function. Um, and in time, I think there will be more discoveries. I think it's important that we explore and get out there and stretch the limits of human capacity, for its own sake. It doesn't necessarily have to yield a bunch of scientific benefits necessarily. Sometimes just the getting there is like worth it in its own accord. Ah, shit. Well, mic drop.
Wow.
These were
So
really good, man.
the first AI selected lightning round was a massive success, I'd say.
I agree. Yeah, just with a little extra time in the middle to get the topics, but yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
Really, really good. We should do more of those, I think.
Yeah. That's God. It's almost better than we are at coming up with.
Well, and what's good is, because it's nice when neither of us knows what's coming.
Yeah.
That's where the fun comes.
The only problem I see is maybe like the same 6 topics will just keep coming up,
Yeah, and we could roll for repetition, I suppose.
We'll have to see how that goes, but
yeah. Well,
we could also adapt and think of new categories.
That's true.
To input. So, yeah.
Definitely.
Like we don't, we're 5 years into this now. We don't necessarily have to keep doing things exactly the same way.
No. In fact, we could ask for general topics of conversation. It doesn't have to be relegated to a particular category. It could just be, hey, give us 6 things to talk about, like controversial topics.
Or how sometimes we've done like themed lightning rounds, like Halloween or my 40th birthday, where it was like kind of heavy metal related.
Yeah. Yeah. Or like here's another option. We could always just have it generate, 7 categories that we have, I believe?
9.
Okay. Well, I can count. We could just have it generate all the things and just go down the list too. That's another option.
Yeah.
Well, let us know down there in the comments what you thought. Any thoughts on what we talked about? Should we do this again? What do you think?
Yeah,
this was a lot of fun.
Thanks for deep sync AI.
Oh man, this is a good one for sure.
That was a stretch for a pun, but
it's all right. We're learning. All right, everybody, have a good one.
AI, give me a good pun.
Actually, let's go out on that, or maybe a good joke. Tell me a joke.
So, AI, give me a good pun. What did the ocean say to the beach? Nothing. It just waved.